back in February, we did some pruning on our Espalier pear trees, and now that it's May and we're getting a new flush of growth this spring, it's time to reevaluate some of our pruning that we're doing. So you can see we've got a lot of different water sprouts that are shooting straight up off of our cordons. Now we're gonna mess with those a little bit later. The first thing that we wanna focus on is our primary leader here. If you remember, some of these were a little misshapen and stuff, and so we chopped them back by taking a heading cut right there. And by doing that, we've got other buds that have now pushed out. So we've got several new little branches that are coming out. The reason why we are looking at this time of year is because these little branches are still very supple. And so as we start to look at training this next cordon that's going to grow on our wire here, we can easily move these and tie them down. So we're going to look at which ones we want to do that. Now there's one that's kind of in the way of us filming here, so I'm going to go ahead and take this one out of the way here. You can see it actually is growing down lower off this center leader here, so I'm just going to snip that one off to get it out of the way so we can see what we're doing here. This one, that's the lower one here, what I'm going to do is go ahead and pull this one down. You can see it's flexible. So I'm going to tie it a little bit closer to the base using these little rubber ties. And that gives us a nice tight anchor to pull that down. We probably should go ahead and anchor it again over here just to really secure it better. So as it goes through this season, this bark on this is going to harden and really solidify and allow us to develop that cordon. So once we have that side done, then it's time to look at the other side. Now we have a couple of options here. We have this one that's pretty small, and as you can see, I can pull that one down and could tie it. I'm a little concerned with how weak and established it is with the stem. If you can see, as I pull it down, it sort of is breaking a little bit there. So I'd rather not use that one just because of how weak that connection is. Instead, I'm going to pull this one down behind there. You can see I can easily pull that one down. It's pretty solid as far as the connection and the crotch there on the main trunk of the tree. So we're going to go ahead and again tie this one down. And go ahead, as we're training it, you want to make sure to tie it down maybe more than what you would have to later on. Once this is sort of hardened, we can take a couple of these off, or at least one of them off, so that it's not tied up so much. At this point, we're going to look now at the next step. So we're going to go ahead and remove this one because we've decided we're not going to use that one. And here we only have one other option. We're trying to train it to go up to the next level, and so because we cut this one, we also need to establish a new leader. So this will be our new leader. So we're going to go ahead and let it grow. If it's tall enough, you can tie it. I'm not too concerned about it. It's obviously going to grow straight up, and so we can anchor it at another point. Now this is what we will prune or head back next February in order to get more sprouts growing, and then again train these cordons here. Now it's time to look at the rest of this plant. Again, I mentioned that we've got several water sprouts growing up from some of the other cordons, for example, right here. So at this point, we want to make sure that we're keeping that design, which is having these horizontal cordons growing out. And so we're going to go ahead and prune some of these back as well. Basically, anything that is longer than just a few inches, we're going to go ahead and take them back. And be careful, there's some that are right there at the center too. So we'll go ahead and snip that back as well. You can see here's a couple more. We do have some that are just a few inches tall, and those aren't water sprouts. Those are good branches, and we're going to leave those. But we're going to go ahead and remove some of these longer ones here so that we can maintain our horizontal cordons. So you can see now we've got our second level done, and we're going to work our way down to this level, our very first level, and go ahead and prune some of those out as well. You also want to make sure you're following along your cordons, and as they continue to grow, if you want to continue to allow your cordon to grow, you're going to need to tie it down. You can see here we've got this one, and we're going to tie it so that it maintains that horizontal growth. But again, we've got another water sucker here, water sprout, so we're going to go ahead and trim that one off as well. So you can see we've got a nice horizontal growth at this point. The nice thing about his espaliers is while they do take some training, the bulk of that training is done in the springtime, either when it's dormant and then also when you've got this young, supple vegetative growth later on in the springtime. Like any plant, you need to check on it throughout the season, but for the most part, we've got our espaliers trained for the season.
We hope you enjoyed this video. It's part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.